much. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Goose Rock Speech Advisory Committee, September 15th. It's a hybrid meeting. We have people online as well as in person here. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from August 18th, which were circulated. Is there a motion to approve?
I just read it over and maybe it's changed in one other thing, but there was a reference in here to a Norwich Road or Avenue. I don't think we have one. I think, isn't it Norwood?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the only thing I've caught my eye.
okay.
I've forgotten exactly where it is, but wherever there's
Oh, I like
Norwich,
the
it should be
elevator.
Norwood.
Okay, any other corrections? Is there a motion to approve the minutes with that correction? Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye, okay, great, thank you. I think the next section is a public comment for items that are not on the agenda, and I know, Kate, you had one, and other people may have others as well, so.
Okay, well, the first one I have is, I have a comment and then a question, is to remind everybody that starting tomorrow, the dog rules change. As of tomorrow, dogs are permitted to be, well, they've been back on the beach all day since the day after Labor Day. But tomorrow we change the rules on when they can be off leash and when they still have to remain on leash. So starting tomorrow, between 12 noon and 6 p.m., dogs can be on the beach, but they must be on leash. And then the whole rest of the day, any other time, they can be off leash as long as they're under voice control. Quite honestly, I've only ever seen one dog really under voice control, but that's the rule, so. And I just, one resident talked to me about this and has, suggested that we ask people, if you see any violations of those rules or have any concerns or questions, if you don't feel comfortable just going up to the person involved and the dog involved and nicely asking them or reminding them about the rules, then please at least call the police department's non-emergency number, which I forgot to look up, but I will find it.
Okay.
Certainly on the town website, just to let people know. And the other thing, and this is more of a question probably related to John, or you might know, I've gotten a couple of questions about some markings that are now being painted on the street along Kings Highway, orange markings.
No idea.
No idea,
I
okay.
think they're at the sewers,
Pardon me?
the drains.
The drain?
Yeah, there, I know some of the grids where the drains are have been marked.
Oh,
I saw
okay, so
somebody
that's,
doing it.
yeah, I wasn't sure. It was somebody addressed that to me last night, and I hadn't even seen them. Pam said she's seen them, but when you're walking, you're more apt to see them. When I'm driving, I'm looking ahead instead of down at what's there, so.
What they mean, I have no idea.
Okay, so we still don't, it's still an answer, but we'll try and check into it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Perfect. I just had two quick things. I wanted to thank Holly for your work on getting the house numbers on the beach side. I think there's a lot more there. We could still use some more, but we're trying to get numbers on the beach side of the houses on Kings Highway just for emergency responders and things like that. So thank you to anyone that can help with that, but we've made progress. I think the other thing, one of the things that came up during the summer was a question about the water testing, and I did a little bit of research just talking to the public health people in town, and they are still testing on two places kind of near Proctor and near Dinghy Point, and twice a week, and posting on those signs if there's an issue. So if there's nothing on those white signboards, then the water is fine. If there is a sign, they will retest until it comes back clear. But I think there were just some questions the last time we were at our meeting, so I just wanted to circle back on that. But those are the two from here. Are there any other things that people wanted to bring up that are not on the agenda?
I have one quick one.
Okay.
First of all, I apologize for being tardy.
Yeah.
The opportunity to compost has come to Kennebunkport. And starting in the 20s of October, we will have 2 bins at the Public Works, at the garage, where you can bring your kitchen compost. It's not for lawn composting, it's just for the garbage from kitchen use. It's a wonderful thing. As you might know, our trash is incinerated, which is great because it produces electricity. So I think it's a much better use than landfilling. But what that means is any of our kitchen waste, all that carbon goes right up into the atmosphere. Whereas if you compost, not only are we helping the environment in ways of getting soil better, but all that carbon, now 95% of it, goes back down into the soil. So composting is a great way to make a statement against climate change. It also reduces the weight of our garbage, and the town pays by the weight. So it's a win-win. And again, it'll be starting the week of the 20th. You'll be hearing a lot more about it. We just finalized it with a company called Mr. Fox, who will come by and pick up the bins every week. Again, it's not at the individual homes. You just bring your stuff to the town garage and dump it into the bins, which will be outside the fence.
That's great. No, thank you, John.
Yep.
That's the location off Beechwood?
Off Beechwood. Yeah, it's the old dump.
And you
It's
can
our,
bring it there anytime, so it's not.
anytime,
That sounds great.
anytime. Again, starting the 20th of October. You'll hear more
Okay,
about the start
great.
date. Yep.
Oh, that's
Wonderful.
great. Super, thank you. Are there any other people out on the TV land there?
There's three,
Okay,
but no one's raised their hand.
okay, all right, we will proceed then. The next section is just the working group updates, and I'll start with you, Holly, on communications.
Yeah, I don't have anything this month.
Okay, thank you. Okay, natural resources, Bill, I know you have cleanup day coming, but what else do you have?
Basically, the cleanup day, I was gonna comment a couple times, just on the fact that 3 times the bacteria was elevated at the 2 beach sites in August, 3 different days. There were other days where it was elevated, but not to the level where whoever it is, the EPA considers unsafe for water contact. So, it was a few times in August, but it wasn't like it was all the time. It was like once a week, and I don't know why it's one day and a different site one day at the other. I don't know that anyone has an explanation for that, so, it's a never-ending question.
It's an ongoing mystery, yeah.
But I checked for sure, and the town does, right on Kings Highway down near, New Bedford Road, there's a posting that says, the river water's not safe to swim in. They have a permanent swimming advisory on the rivers. So if people choose to swim in the rivers, they have been warned.
So that means the kids that want to wander across Little River, to go over to Timber Island, my
Don't-
son used
So
to,
they shouldn't be,
don't do
yeah.
it.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah, don't drink the water, for
Keep
sure.
your mouth shut. while you-
That's when you're wandering across, yeah. So I guess it's really, I think, an overblown, no, I'm sorry. It may not be a great concern of an issue, that's why.
Okay.
Well, I mean, one day it's exactly the same, it's elevated, and the next day it's exactly the same as the test sites in the
Wait
ocean.
10 minutes,
Right.
it's gonna change. The tides, it's very tide dependent, it's the height of the tide, it's the wind direction, whole bunch of factors go. But even when it's high, it's not ballistic, so, but at any rate, it's important for especially the immunocompromised to know.
Okay.
The other thing is beach cleanup on September 27th, the Rotary Club of Kennebunkport, which used to be called Kennebunkport Portside Rotary, I think Charlie told me it's about the 30th year we've sponsored it, and been the local sponsor for the Goose Rocks Beach cleanup. The Rotarians, we're gonna have coffee at my house at 8:30, and we're gonna clean the beach up at 9. I'll be down the store around 9 o'clock. I'm hoping, we have 15 people, Charlie told me, on the list already, Rotarians and friends, and we'll split up over the beach, and we basically bring stuff to the rights of way, and in the past, the town crew has picked the bags up the next day or the 2 days later. I'm wondering if it'll be any different with the big bins, but probably not. Because some of the stuff is inappropriate for those bins.
Right, then we'll have to pick that up, yeah.
Are you
Anybody
still
who,
gonna inventory everything you pick up?
yeah, we inventory, that's one difference with this beach cleanup, they inventory everything they pick up, and, which is just a little data
That's
point.
interesting, yeah,
Um,
that really is.
But,
So we have
if-
30 years of records of them inventory?
well, they've been doing it as long as, it's part of the International Coast Cleanup Program, which is
Cool.
statewide, actually, it's international. That's been going on for even longer than that, I believe. But if we have enough help at 9 o'clock, I'll take down the stake and twine too.
So I was
So,
gonna ask
yeah.
if that was gonna come down.
If there's enough people, if we have 15 or 16 people to split up into 4 groups, they can cover the beach pretty well, and we could have
Yeah.
another few people taking down stake and twine, so.
Yeah.
Are you gonna leave the twine on the entrance?
On the main rights of ways, all the public ways, I think it's a good idea to leave them along the dunes, just keep people from cutting through.
Yep.
Totally agree.
So,
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
organizing
Thank you.
that, that's great.
Well, Charlie Coleman is organizing it for Rotary, but we've always met at our house ever since I became a Rotarian, so.
Okay, good, that's great. Okay, the next thing is public safety, and Chaz, I know, is attending hybrid, so if you can elevate him to speaker.
He's there.
Is he? Okay. All right, Chaz, we're gonna turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Mike was going to put the slide up on the screen, I think.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Can people see it? I can see the town green, I think. There we go. Before we get into the details of the traffic issue, I want to continue on the theme of data. Chief Simeone told me that this summer the CSOs gave out 4 times as many dog warnings as they did last summer. It's not a big number, but it marks that the problem is still ongoing. And the reason that's relevant is that the town keeps track of who they've given the warnings to. So if it comes to an enforcement thing, which requires someone additional to a CSO to execute, we've at least got data about someone who's broken the rules knowingly, I guess. But in any event, that's all I know about that. We've talked about traffic in this committee many times, but oftentimes only based on our impressions or ad hoc complaints from pedestrians, neighbors, and others. But this summer, the working group on safety, which includes my BAC colleague, Barry Engel, and 2 volunteers, Art LeMay and Tom Adler, we took a more serious effort to put some dimension to the problem and develop some steps that the town and those of us who are at the beach can take. So I have 2 slides I want to share, and then we will recommend that the BAC forward these to the town for their consideration. What made a difference for us this year was that we had access to some data for the first time, not just our impressions. Those speed signs that are on Dyke Road and on westbound Kings Highway don't only tell you how fast you're going, they also collect data. They don't collect your picture or your license plate, and they don't collect even what kind of vehicle you're in, but they do collect data on everything that goes by the camera. So we had data that Chief Simeone shared with us from traffic on those 2 roads between May and end of July. Interpreting it was constrained by the fact that it does capture everything that goes by. So it captures trucks, cars, bikes, people, even a moose if a moose goes by. So to look at it, we cut out all the data for things going more slowly than 15 miles an hour, knowing that some vehicles may go slower, but some bikes may go faster. But we wanted to have information on vehicle safety. And what we found is, I guess, sort of what we expected. On Dyke Road, people are speeding this 30-mile-an-hour speed limit 70% of the time. And between May and July, 4,000 of those people were exceeding the speed limit by more than 10 miles an hour. As we all know, when a few yards past that speed sign, the speed limit drops to 25. So if we had data at the 25-mile-an-hour zone, we'd have even higher numbers, I believe. On Kings Highway, we had about half the people going above the summer 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, and some going dramatically above it. And so the data confirms what we all sort of knew. We are constrained in the data because we only had those 2 signs. We have complaints about speeding on Community House Road, particularly when there are children going to and from, and on Wildwood, which people are using as a cut through to avoid the traffic on Kings Highway. So there's a problem at Goose Rocks. So what makes it especially problematic are a variety of things. If you could bump the next point there, Mike. We've got a complicating things along Kings Highway. One is that we have pedestrians and bicycles going in both directions, particularly little kids who are unsteady on their bikes or riding 2 abreast, or people walking 2 or 3 abreast, or walking with their child who's on a bike. There are no sidewalks on the west end, so the street is a pedestrian mall as much as it's a driving street. There are numerous unmarked crossing points on Kings Highway on the west end that aren't crossing to public rights of way, but they're crossings for people who live in the back lots or on the other side of Kings Highway. So they're well used and they're heavily trafficked. And they're not always visible, particularly because there are trucks and landscape trailers most days blocking lines of sight. It not only blocks the line of sight for the drivers, but it also means pedestrians and bicyclists are coming out from behind those parked vehicles in a way that's unpredictable. On the west end of Kings Highway, the narrow parking spots mean that people who are parking there are getting out of their cars and into the roadway and loading and unloading with little kids and a raft of equipment that makes driving along there, paying attention to pedestrians on one side and cars and other pedestrians on the other, a challenge. To deal with that, we had several dozen suggestions that we had collected from our research and looking at what other people had done. But for tonight, I wanted to focus on steps that we think are doable in time to have effect for the summer of 2026. They don't require a huge expense from the town, although some expense, and they may lead to results that we can measure with the speed signs during next summer to see whether anything made a bit of difference. So I've got 3 suggestions that we made in each of these 2 categories: for signs and marking, and then communications and public awareness. The first is the addition of brightly marked crosswalks at those beach access points on the west end. Don't advance these quite so quickly, Mike. I want to talk about each one a little bit. The crosswalks are not where crosswalks usually are at a road intersection, but 3 heavily used access points. One trade-off might be that the public may think a crosswalk means there's a public access point, which there's not. But in terms of road safety, it's our suggestion that a crosswalk, brightly lit one, so people see it and slow down, would be an important additional thing that doesn't stop people from speeding, but might slow them down. Our second suggestion relates to the Dyke Road Kings Highway intersection. A few years ago, we added a stop sign on the westbound Kings Highway that has helped a lot. But people coming in Dyke Road still don't quite know what to do. They approach the intersection, they see pedestrians, they see other cars stopped, so they stop. So everybody's hesitant. The pedestrians don't know what to do. Even though the logistics are difficult given the parking spaces that are also at this intersection, we think it'd be valuable to consider putting a 3rd stop sign there so everybody has to stop, look, and then move ahead. Our 3rd suggestion is many people's first suggestion, and that is that enforcement. In the summer of 2025, the police department increased its presence and visibility at Goose Rocks, but there's only a few police officers on duty at any one time in this small town, so they can't be at Goose Rocks all the time. But unless people are alert to the fact that it's not just a sign and an occasional neighbor yelling at them, but that it's a good chance of getting ticketed, will they slow down, I think. So that's valuable. And so there may be things we can do to communicate the impact of increased enforcement, that tickets are going up, or that if we have data looking ahead, that we can maybe narrow down the times when it's useful to have police people there. Our other group of recommendations have to do with public awareness. So if you can click the next button there, that's great. And that is, this is something that actually Chief Simeone suggested, and that is that we just make a much greater effort to get the word out through different mechanisms or additional mechanisms to the town's website, or a few signs, which are good but have limited effect. And that would be to put together a whole seasonal awareness campaign that includes the use of social media that I guess is not the town's main function. But that's something where I think we, the committee, could work with the town and increase the drumbeat of messaging about safety on the roads in Goose Rocks. Our second suggestion is that everyone who has a short-term rental license is required to give their tenants what the town calls a good neighbor policy. But that good neighbor policy is mostly about noise and things in your house. But I think if we could work with the town to add to that something about traffic safety and obeying the darn speed limit, at least it reaches one of the communities who's potentially speeding. To reach other people who may not be short-term renters is our third suggestion, and that is that we increase the awareness of people who are day visitors or short-term parkers. I think the town is redoing how the parking stickers are going to be issued, but so however that is, whether there's a flyer or if it's an electronic parking pass going ahead, that there's be some way to include messaging about the speed limits and the fact that they are not just slow, but they're slower in summer than they are elsewhere. We had many other recommendations that we want to talk about, keep talking about as we go ahead. But those are the ones that we wanted to recommend we discussed tonight. Each of them can reduce speeding, but they don't eliminate it. We've been lucky we haven't had major accidents at Goose Rocks in people's memory, but the number of close calls I've observed say that it's something that requires ongoing attention, so that the outcomes depend on, at the end of the day, everybody's slowing down. So all the things we've suggested are aimed at that, but the results will speak for themselves. So that's what we've done, and I wanted to recommend that first of all we hear comments from the rest of the committee and the public, but also at the end that we make a recommendation to the town for some or all of these priorities that we've set.
Mike, you might want to go back to that recommendation slide so people can see it and when we address it.
Which one is that?
You'll see, just the fourth slide.
The third slide, Mike.
If not, we'll go from there.
Bingo.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, thanks.
So one question, Chaz, and I think you referenced this a little bit, but the third stop sign at Dyke and Kings Highway, I was
Right.
looking at it like, you can't really put the stop sign on the road because there are cars blocking it, but is it possible to have like a stop sign in like a cement can or something that's pulled out? Because I don't know how cars are gonna see it if it's like a normal stop sign.
Exactly.
that's-
Yeah, no, those are the difficult logistics.
Yeah.
We had an informal feedback from Chief Simeone and Eric LaBelle, who heads Public Works, and they agree this is a difficult thing, but I think I've certainly seen things like this other places, and I know that every parking spot is valuable, but there may be a way to cordon those off or make them so you have to pull in behind a little traffic island of some sort. But there's so much traffic goes through that intersection, and pedestrians crossing not just in the crosswalk but every which way. That getting people to slow down, because most people do slow down, but some don't. They don't take the turn on two wheels, but they might.
Chaz, on that intersection again, and the difficulty, I agree, of where to locate, I'm fully in favor of making it a three-way stop area. With the amount of traffic, foot traffic, as well as car traffic that goes through that intersection, it makes sense to me, at least for the 3 months of the year that we're really talking about the height of the population increase. But it seemed to me a number of years ago, there was, and I don't know if this can be done with a stop sign per se, it seemed to me there was some device that was put in the middle, like maybe in the middle of that crosswalk, that slowed people. I don't think it was a stop. It might have been a yield sign or something like that. But is it possible to put a sort of temporary stop sign in something, as you said, Holly, like this concrete bucket or something that can be removed when we're in the off season? Do you know, or is there some absolute state requirements for where a stop sign can be placed? Just a thought. I don't know that you have the answer at the moment, but.
No, I think if we make recommendations, the town knows the rules, they know, and they have the state highway people to consult and traffic engineers to look at various options for what kind of other site interruption would be more effective and cost effective.
Okay, so as long as we stress the point, make it a priority that somehow there needs to be some mechanism of a three-way stop, all entree to that intersection be stopping somehow.
Kate,
I'm fully in favor of that.
I'm just gonna add that the chief and Eric did say they would come down, look at the area, and
Right.
see what made sense.
Yeah.
Recognizing it's difficult, but also recognizing it makes.
Yeah, it's a pretty high
it's gonna-
priority, I think.
It's gonna help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
there's
it
gotta
will.
be a way, it might be, not be a standard way, but
Yeah.
be a little creative. Are there any other comments from the committee on Chaz's report? Chaz, thank you very much to you and your group. I think this
Yeah,
is a
great
great
work.
committee report, and we're
Yeah.
very happy.
Yeah, Chaz, excellent job.
Oh, very sorry.
I'm just gonna add, Chaz, there was one other, I look back on my notes, there was one other item, the, using those electronic signs and moving them around, maybe
Yes.
even increasing. They agreed that would be a good idea and looking forward to that next year.
Okay,
Yeah,
So, and we had asked for other locations, including Wildwood and Community, the other side.
yep, okay, yes, that would
So,
make a lot of sense.
So that's all on the agenda.
great.
But
And
the town staffing challenges are such that moving the signs requires Chief Simeone or his deputy to take it down and move it to the other place. And the trade-off for us will, of course, be that we lose data from the places where the signs are now. But one of the things we wanted to talk about, additionally would be, can we get more signs? But that's a much bigger budget expense. And so in terms of things to do quickly that I know can get done for summer of '26, we prioritized the 6 we have. But Barry's right, moving the others around may be a low-cost option to add to this.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Chaz, it's labor intensive to move them around. I would think you might want to consider asking that the town put in the budget monies to buy additional signs. The time to do it is coming up and would need to be in the budget. Remember that the beach fund is really an extension of our full budget process. We can't spend what isn't in the fund. So those money, they're reimbursed to keep the fund at a level. So when you spend from it, you have to have the money in order to reimburse it. So it's really part of the normal budget process to get a known expense, which this would be, into that beach fund. The fund is there for emergency, then there's a line item, you can take it. We scramble to try to find something to do, that might happen. But in terms of something like this, where, I don't know, $20,000, let's maybe look at getting 3 or 4 permanent signs that we don't have to move around, that we can keep at the beach. Because I think they're an amazingly powerful deterrent. But we need to ask for it now. You all need to ask for it now. Ask for it so it's in the FY27 budget request. And then those numbers would be placed against that category, come out of the beach fund, and away we go. So, I mean, the budget board may say no, but at least we can ask
Yeah.
and get that number in front of people. And I think with this kind of a pitch and showing the reasons why we want them, I think they'd have a good chance. Personally, I think we'd have a good chance of passing.
I think just those numbers up there showing over a couple of months, 4,100 basically people were exceeding the speed limit coming down
Yeah.
Dyke Road. I would love to see one at least permanently placed on Dyke Road, and if we get others that have to be moved around. But Dyke Road, to me, on New Bedford, you have the speed bumps that slow people down. Dyke Road, and I've been guilty of this myself. You're coming off roads where the speed limit, you're doing in the 40s or you're doing in the 50s, coming either direction. You turn down Dyke Road, and you forget that, oh my God, I see that sign and it makes me go, whoa, wait a minute.
Yep.
And I slow down. I think it's a reminder that should be at least basically permanently in place there. I love the idea of let's make this a priority and point to those numbers.
So
That's what we-
question regarding speed bumps, why don't we have them on Dyke Road and we have them on New Bedford?
Did we?
I
Not on
don't
Dyke.
remember
Remember
'em.
that?
Not,
The speed bumps are a mixed blessing. Neighbors complain about them because they're noisy. But as importantly, the speed hump on New Bedford Road this year went in late because the old one had destroyed the road, being installed and uninstalled repeatedly. And so and Eric LaBelle made the point to us that people even on New Bedford Road go over the speed bump and then they accelerate to get it back up to their desired above the speed limit speed. And on the west end of King Highway in particular, there's a lot of straightaways for people to get rolling on. The speed signs each cost about $4,000. I think it's 36 or 3,700. And then there's a subscription that comes with them to get access to the data. So it's a significant budget item, but John, you and I didn't coordinate, but tagging the beach fund for this was an idea I've certainly had.
But again, tagging the fund, it really doesn't do any good unless you have it in the budget. Or you're
Yes.
gonna have a lot more opportunity and possibility of getting it done if you put it in the budget as a line item. And we have the opportunity to do that this year. So I really think
So-
you ought to pursue that. I
I
had a
think that's a friendly amendment.
question on what does brightly marked crossings mean in your mind?
Could be wider, bigger, wider, could be colorful if people are okay with more than white.
But okay, but you're talking about,
But
we're
you
not
can
talking,
also, you can put, some places have elevated, not concrete or other markings on the side of the road to narrow the driving space down to slow people's impression of of the width they have to move by. But something that signals that this is not just a 50-year-old side crosswalk that you can blast past and ignore.
good,
Would
good.
this mostly be paint, Chad, or is it more other?
Paint's what I'm hearing, which I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
I didn't want electric lights, so I didn't want brightly
No, that's
marked.
fine. Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
good.
crosswalk.
Yeah.
We're together,
It's
crosswalk.
multiple crosswalks.
Perfect.
It's what we talked
Perfect,
about.
sounds
Yeah, but
great.
it's a visual cue that you need to pay a little more attention.
These are
John,
great.
I just had one point that came up, and I think you're the right person. Really what we were a lot of the discussion was about enforcement. And we were told the town was down 3 policemen. And that's why they weren't able to enforce and have speed
That's
traps.
correct, yeah. We're,
And that, to me personally, as a resident, was upsetting, because we're talking about the safety here.
well, indeed, and we're not down because we haven't hired. We're fully staffed on paper. We had one in academy, so they were off in training, which is required to get them going. We had another out on medical, and another one was in a transition point. They overlapped with another academy piece. So, and this is an important part to keep in mind. There are always going to be events that are going to come up that will lower any given week or day the amount of available police we have to work, and that's why our chief is a working policeman. We're a small
Yeah, I mean,
department.
we weren't, the idea, I think we're all reasonable, we don't expect someone there 7/24. It just, once in a while, if you have a cop car there with a radar gun, it's gonna slow down traffic
Well,
tremendously.
You bet.
And if I see it there 1 week, maybe I don't see it for another 2 weeks. But
Especially in the beginning of summer, just to
Yeah.
get people knowing that.
I
they're
was-
there.
I
We
was
can post
encouraged
on
to
social
and we
media.
didn't have that this year.
I was encouraged to see that you had data that apparently shows some times when it was more probable that there would be speeding.
Correct.
Well, that's great. We have that data. Armed with that, we can do the best we can with our staffing to have those be the times
But is it
that
fair
we're
to
on
say
site.
that just given the circumstances this year, that hopefully next year we would have?
I can't, again, it will depend on what the availability is, but these are wonderful numbers. It's important to put that forward. You
Do we
bet.
have any data on how many speeding tickets were given out
Yes.
this summer?
Sure. Do I know the number? No. But yes, of course, yes, that is
Because
a
that
known
would be
number.
interesting too.
All right.
I mean, you don't, I'm not asking.
We can
for
certainly find that
homework,
out
John,
and
I'm
report
just-
it next month.
Sure. You take that action, Chaz.
Yep.
Okay, are there any more other comments from the committee, and then I want to open it up to other people in the audience? Okay, anybody here? Fred, please come up and identify yourself, and then go ahead.
I'll have to look inside my sleeve to see my
Yeah.
name. Fred Stafford, Kings Highway. Our house is on the less expensive side of Kings Highway. And we're about, as you come off Dyke Road, we're about 4 houses before the tides. So it's just before the road starts to bend. And one of the big problems I see out there, I mean, we cringe all the time, are people on electric bikes and scooters. I think, they don't think they're motor vehicles. I assume a lot of these people, I'm not disparaging anybody for where they stay, but seem to be coming in probably from the campground, it would make sense, but they're flying. you know, and they have little kids on them, they're overloaded, sometimes they might have 2 kids on one bike in addition to the adult, maybe helmets, maybe not on the kids or whatever. I had a situation, not the summer before, where I was heading towards Dyke Road from home, and there was some slow traffic in front of me, and a kid on a scooter went up on the sidewalk to go around us. I mean, just, you know? And I'm curious, is when you were doing your research, did anything about the scooters come up? Because some of those things, most of them will do over 30 miles an hour, and they're doing over 30 miles an hour coming down there. So I've also seen a couple of them, not this year, but because I didn't spend much time on the beach, but last year on the beach. And so I'm just curious.
We couldn't tell from the information what it is, whether it's a truck, whether it's a car, whether it's a scooter.
Or a
It doesn't
moose.
give you that information, unfortunately. But I was just mentioning to a couple of the other members this morning, we had 2 motorcyclists, the electric bikes, on the beach.
Yeah,
Flying along. So it's everywhere,
yeah.
On the
Okay.
beach.
on the beach,
In the hard sand, yeah,
on the sand,
hard sand, that's what
I hope, for their sake.
Interesting. Pat, wanna-
Hi, Pat Souza, 19 Crescent Ave. Just wanted to say thank you for the safety committee. Safety is extremely important to me, and I think you guys are doing a great job. Many of the things we talked about today, it was great that John brought up about the signs, because I think that's something that'll slow people down. One thing I wanted to ask was, what I see this year is, not to add on to it, but just a suggestion. I see people who are getting out of their cars, once they park them, stay on the street. Very few of them cross over to the sidewalk, which is a safety thing. And I think it's just a natural thing when they get out of their car, when they're parked on that street, that they just walk down. I see them wagons and little kids holding on. I don't know if there's some way we can educate people or encourage people to cross over to the sidewalk. I just don't know of anything yet. I'll think about it, but I don't know if the safety committee wanted to just kind of think about that. I'm just giving a suggestion. I don't know if anybody has ideas, but I just feel this, if someone's going to get hit, they're going to get hit there. You know, I hate to see that happen. So just a suggestion tonight. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks, Pat. Anybody else in the audience? Go ahead, John.
John Kreuter on Kings Highway. I'm curious about these walks you're going to put in on the private ways. Do you know how many private ways there are to the beach on the west end?
Nope.
I don't know.
There's quite a few.
John, we were
There's a couple of
recommending
big ones.
3.
Huh? What was that?
There were 3 spots that we thought where there was a lot of people crossing, that it would be helpful to have something that had drivers paying particular attention there. And I can't rattle off the exact spots off the top of my head, but something that makes it clear this is not an expressway to get you to the river.
I can guarantee you, living right near them, that you will create more people using those that are not supposed to be using them. It's a problem. It's been a problem for a long, long time. And by marking them, you're going to make them public think that they are rights of way to the beach, and they are private rights of way. And there's a bunch of them along west end of Goose Rocks, many which you don't see because people have narrowed them down so that they're invisible. And I personally would be opposed to having you mark those.
Okay, all right, thank you.
John makes a really good point. I live on the beach, and people thought my yard was a right of way for a long time as well. And so I think it's something that we want to do something to slow people down there. And so this was the one idea we had, but I think taking the neighbors' concerns into account is important for the town as if and as that they want to move ahead.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Did you have something you want to say?
Just the same.
Yeah, okay. Is there anybody else that's attending hybrid that has any?
I don't see hands.
It's a shame.
Okay,
I have one cheap thought.
go ahead.
This is the trimming of the bushes on Kings Highway, by the stone wall, by the parking, by the Tides Hotel. You know, I think they get trimmed in the beginning, but they grow a lot during the season
Is this on the, beach side or on the sidewalk side?
on the beach side.
Yeah.
So that where people park their cars. So, I mean, they grow out like a foot or so out from the stone wall. I would ask, is it Eric?
Mm-hmm.
That they be trimmed periodically throughout the summer. And it would give us, it's not perfect, but it's a little fix that shouldn't cost us a lot of money to keep those bushes trimmed as tightly to the stone wall as
So
possible.
people can park as far over as that.
Exactly,
No,
so
that's
people
good.
can move over as far to the stone wall
Yeah.
as possible.
I think that's a perfectly legitimate request.
Okay.
Chaz, I would add that,
Mm-hmm.
I think, unless there's, people have
Yeah, no,
a
I
concern.
think that definitely makes sense.
Okay, and on the trimming side of things, I have one that is, it's not right on the beach, but as you come up New Bedford Road, and you have Winter Harbor Road, the Loop Road, coming from, a lot of
Yeah.
people are coming from particularly that back private road area to access Route 9. As you come up to that intersection, it's a yield sign on the Winter Harbor side, nothing coming up New Bedford Road, and they come up there pretty quickly. And there's a piece of property right there that has a lot of bushes that are really full. And I've sent requests already to, I know it's Chief Simeone and to Lori Smith. In the past, I've asked them to come and just please trim them back. And, or most recently, I sent a request that could they consider putting one of those mirrors up on so you can see what's coming up New Bedford Road. You have clear sight for what's coming down New Bedford Road, but it's an absolute crapshoot what's coming up New Bedford Road. And, and they travel up pretty quickly coming up New Bedford Road. By the time you've reached that part of New Bedford Road, you've really got your foot on the accelerator. So it would be really, sooner or later, something's gonna happen there. And I don't know how much those mirrors cost, but I'd love to see one put up on the telephone pole that's it'd be perfectly situated. So, just putting it out there again in another
Okay.
bad
You want to
way.
make a suggestion? I mean, put that on the.
Yeah, all right, Bill, did you have something?
No, maybe it should be a stop sign instead of a yield sign on Winter Harbor Road.
Yeah, but the problem is
You can't see.
vision, even if there's the stop sign, you're still not able to see clearly because of those bushes. There are no
Okay.
houses there. I don't know exactly, who exactly.
You have to
owns the
stop, there's no way that's a deal, like, I go out of there all the time, and you can't do anything.
Yeah,
unless you
you're
come
gonna
to a
stop anyway. It's the problem is the visibility, and that's what, unless you want to put a stop sign on New Bedford, which I don't think is gonna, not suggesting that, but just something that makes it more visually safer.
Okay, so we have Chaz's report, we have a couple of additions, and I'm wondering if we can summarize those and then potentially add the comment about, the suggestion about expending maybe $20,000 for additional speed signs into some kind of motion so we can move this forward. Does anyone have all the pieces written down? Kate, do you have notes or no?
Well, mine are primarily about the speed signs, which would be very helpful. So, how about that we endorse the report and the priorities and the suggestions in it, and that we would take it, we would also suggest that the town consider putting into the budget for the beach the sum not to exceed $20,000 to invest in traffic safety devices. And that gives a little bit of,
Stop sign or the.
it gives a little bit of
signs.
wiggle
Yeah.
room, and whether it's that or, yeah. Does that sound like a number, John?
Yep, and to add the trimming of the bushes.
Well, yeah, I'll fight that battle directly with your bushes. Okay, well, that's the whole thing, to improve traffic safety at the beach.
Okay, are people comfortable with that? Chaz, are you okay with that?
Yes. I will add before we vote on this, that the conversations with Chief Simeone have gone on all year long, and he's open, as is Eric, to suggestions made informally as well. So the purpose of this is to, I think John makes the right point, is to set some priorities for things that we actually get done between now and next summer. And so the town can't do everything, perhaps ever, but they can't do everything at once. And so, my goal tonight was to set some priorities, and I think these additions are good ones. So I guess I move that we, adopt a resolution saying what Kate just said.
Okay, so let me try and make it in the form of a motion. Move that the town, that what we move that the town accept the recommendations made in the, what is it, Public Safety Committee report?
Yep.
And also, and consider adding into the budget an amount not to exceed $20,000 to purchase traffic safety devices or actions that are needed to implement the prioritized safety items.
Okay,
Go together. Sorry.
are you okay with that, John, or are you?
Yeah, no,
I just was wondering if it should be just a separate budget request for expenditure of,
Two separate motions then?
well, no, we're asking to spend money out of the beach fund.
no, we're asking
Where can we put
actually
money into?
to budget that
Money
amount.
for it.
To that, then, for the purpose of this, which then would go into the beach, would be used from the beach fund. Beach fund is basically a line item. Any money that's in that has to be budgeted during that fiscal year.
Okay.
Or it's gotta come from something else where it wasn't budgeted and you're taking away from
Right.
a different priority. So what we're really asking for is a $20,000 line item to, and you wanna do to improve safety. I would just say for speed cameras, but that's okay, but to improve safety, and let the budget board, and the town discuss, whether that can go forward. That's what that's about. It's just a way to solidify that request and get it into the actual budget as a line item.
Are you comfortable with that approach? Okay, is there a second to Kate's motion?
I second.
John, before we go ahead,
Yep.
Pam, could I suggest the speed signs are something that we know costs money, but when we start adding in a crosswalks and whatever engineering is required for a stop sign, we will have blown through $20,000 without getting the speed signs there. And so I think we may want to, if we want to prioritize the speed signs, we maybe want to make that, indicate that priority for
Yeah,
us.
you've articulated my concern very well. I think that's the point. You really ought to ask for it specifically for the speed signs.
So $20,000
Yeah.
for the speed.
Right. The painting's gonna be done out of supplies, it's basically sunk costs. I mean, those types of things are included in the normal maintenance of the town. These speed signs are dollar items that have to go to a company to purchase something.
Okay, so
Let's-
do you want to amend your motion?
Let's focus it that way.
So
Yep.
I move that the committee adopt the Public Safety Committee's report, forwarded, that they recommend to the Board of Selectmen, or the Select Board, that they also adopt this, and in addition, that they include in the budget amount up to $20,000 for the purchase of, what are we calling those, traffic
Electronic
safety?
Traffic
signs,
speed
electronic
cameras.
Speed signs,
Speed signs,
which can
not
be
cameras,
used
signs, right?
Okay,
to help implement the recommendations.
okay. Are you okay with your second on that?
I second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes,
Nice,
thank you again.
Chaz, nice
Thank you,
job.
Chaz.
All of you, Mary,
Um,
et cetera.
All right, and then we're gonna move on to old business with the first item being commercial activity on the beach, and I'm gonna turn it
Yeah,
over to
I
John.
kind of promised to have an update for you because we were planning to meet on the 11th, but the Tides asked that we postpone till the 25th. So the town will be meeting with EOS, who are the owners and operators of the Tides, on the 25th. So I really don't have any new information for you at this point in time. But I might just take a minute. What I would appreciate if someone would be willing to share, anyone would be willing to share their thoughts on what was different this year. What worked and what didn't work. just thoughts on, because the significant changes were made, and I'm curious what people think about what this year was like. Just want to give everybody a second to think on that. And,
Pat, you wanna start?
Pat Souza again. I think it's been tremendous, Sean. I think the beaches looked more open for people. I see, people are taking their chairs from the tides and walking down to wherever they want to and placing umbrellas, which is great, so they're kind of spread out, just like we are. I think it looks good. I think people are happy, at least I am. What I've seen this year has been great. And their reserved area has been their reserved area for where they have the lounge chairs, which I think they're doing a great job at that. I didn't see anything else that I had a concern with on the beach. Not there all the time, but when I've been at the beach, I think it's been good.
And that's where you go to the beach, in that area,
Yeah,
right?
I'm right there. I'm right on one road over.
On
yeah.
Bel Air? You come
Yeah.
up Bel Air?
I come up, yes, Bel Air,
Yeah.
right
So,
there.
yeah,
And I'm
you're right there.
so I kind of see it to the left. But what I've seen, and sometimes I
That's
look in
good to know.
sometimes I look at the live camera too. Look at the tides heads, to see what's going on if I don't make it down. Because I walk a lot, but I'm happy. I know I've had concern over the years,
Yeah.
because I used to live on Bartlett.
Belvedere?
Goodness, I had to remember where I lived.
Yeah.
So that was a concern for me when I lived on Belvedere, because I would go down that pathway, and they had their seaweed down, like 100 feet down the sides, asking people to leave. I didn't see any of that this year.
Good.
I think it's been great.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully it'll continue.
I did notice, and I don't know where the dividing line was, for a good part of their summer, there was still apparently beach staff helping on the beach. I saw them taking, notes and asking you if you need anything else, just get in touch with me.
Yeah.
I think towards the very last couple of weeks, I think there may have been some grace period there. You mentioned, I will agree that it looked more like people were doing, at least taking it out. I think there was still some level of we'll clean up and take it back for you. So,
yeah, that was always.
the only time I've seen it actually working completely that way, that the customers, the guests used, took it out and took it back, was this past week or so when there's no beach staff. Everybody's gone back to school. So, yeah.
I'm sorry, did you have a comment? Please come up and identify yourself, and we'd be happy to hear you.
Hi, I'm Mike Nash, I'm Kings Highway. My wife and I and our family showed up early part of August and missed a lot of the summer, but I'll say, walking up and down the beach, it does seem much more under control and respectful, and I have to
Yeah.
say, the fact that they have service people, helping clients in a way that's not obtrusive doesn't seem like a problem to me. What I do think is an issue, and this may be beyond the scope of this section, but so indulge me, is that because of the other ways the town has pushed back on the tides, it feels like the restaurant itself has degraded significantly. They've got a lot fewer seats because I guess there's some challenge with the amount of parking they had relative to the number of seats. And as a resident who occasionally wants to go there for dinner, it's impossible to get in now because the capacity is so diminished. So I wonder if, in the spirit of trying to get them back in line, we may have just pushed on things that didn't serve the residents of Goose Rocks. Just something to think about.
But I
because
don't think the interior seating was not changed.
It absolutely was, sir.
That was their choice.
If
it has
I talked to
changed.
them about it, and what they say was because of the way their liquor license was changed, and it's something having to do with the parking, that they were forced to reduce the amount of seating they had inside.
Not inside. They lost 14 seats on the front lawn.
Yeah.
That 14, they still had their 66 seats inside. Those are the facts, sir. So I don't.
It's
I
a
don't
smaller
know what
restaurant
they-
inside if you walk in. I'm happy to go visit with you if you want.
Well, you can visit it,
I'll
but
take you for a drink.
that's their choice. That's all I'm saying to you is the town did not limit their inside seating.
Understood.
I may be wrong on that, but that is certainly my understanding. The town did not limit their inside seats.
I would dig into it because that's not what I heard. So
Well, that's fair.
I'm going with what I've heard, so.
That's fair.
I
Well, now
apologize.
you're hearing two different
Yeah.
things, so that's okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in the audience on this subject? Anybody else on the hybrid?
I don't see any hands raised.
Any other comments from committee members? thank you for that. update.
Thank you,
Appreciate
thank you.
it. Kate, you're up, a little quick update on parking?
Okay, well, there's been a lot of work. I particularly thank Wendy and Pat and you. Particularly you and Pat really walked every inch of this whole area to identify where parking spaces are, where there might be problems. We know that parking at the beach is a very big problem. We're working on developing, first working with the police chief to look at the problem and see where, if possible, we need to rearrange some of the 173 spaces are still, that's locked in stone. We're not talking about revising that either upward or downward. It's a matter of where should it be these days. And right now, I believe we are waiting for a meeting probably maybe by the end of this month or early October.
October, probably later October, but looking.
Okay,
Week of the 28th, I
meet
think.
with probably Pat and you and maybe, Pam and Pat and you, to meet with the police chief and the town manager, hopefully. We're continuing to work on this issue. It certainly isn't going to get resolved overnight, but hopefully we'll have some very positive actions taken by get ready for the next season, because that's where we really have the problems. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank you, Kate. And then, did you have an update on trash too?
Well, I just wanted to say, my observation at least, is that I think the trash went much better this summer. I was not aware of a lot of trash outside the bins, those big bins, they're bigger, people, are getting more, even bigger items in it. I think you could even get a beach chair in them if you need to. Sorry. So, and I love, of course, Fred's design that we used again. It's eye-catching and it gets the message across. So I think that the trash, I don't want to say it's resolved, but I think it's doing much, much better.
I'm curious if people feel the same. Are there any feedback on that?
Yes.
Yeah,
They're great,
Yeah.
excellent.
Good.
It's great news.
great.
All right, thank you for that quick update. Okay, the only other item I have is the next meeting is October 20th, and hopefully keep making some progress on some of these items and have a report back on a number of them, and take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much for coming.